The Metakey Edition 1, an iconic flagship designed by veteran Irish artist and content creator Alan Bolton. Edition 2, a stellar retro-futurist style to rock the metaverse by the NFT legends of Artifact Studios. Since its launch, the Metakey project has rapidly evolved from innovative concept to a truly game-changing vehicle for the future of NFTs. So what's next? At the core of the metaverse movement, we find a yearning to close the distance between physical and digital spaces, between imagination and reality. The toolset of the greatest architects of this movement will not be complete without a mastery of augmented reality. One Australian illustrator in particular delivers whimsy, fantasy, and vibrant harmony to the world around him. And now, to the Metakey project. Our artist for the Edition 3 key is none other than MARC-O-MATIC. Would you like to see a preview? Of course you would. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm MARC-O-MATIC. I'm based in Melbourne, Australia, and I create interactive art and storytelling experiences through augmented reality and virtual reality. A lot of what I create is often a mix of hand-drawn ink illustration mixed with 3D, animation, and AR and VR tech. So everything I do is actually created on paper first. It's all illustrated freehand with ballpoint pen, ink wash, watercolors. Then I scan that, splice that, and transform those artworks into textures for 3D models that I work with in VR and AR. So it's really great. It allows me to turn my static illustrations into augmented reality creations. And through my process, it really creates a connection. It's really exciting to see art being expressed in different ways and appreciated in different ways. So I'm really looking forward to see how this sort of pans out in the future, especially with immersive tech becoming more prominent in mainstream society. It's going to change the way in which we engage and absorb art of the future. So excited to be a part of it all.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the inaugural stream for the Metakey here on Twitch. I hope you guys are all doing well. We had a couple of little hiccups there at the beginning, but it seems like everything's running smoothly now, so it's wonderful to have you all on. It is an absolute pleasure. Now, as we've just revealed, our artist for Edition 3, MARC-O-MATIC here, we will be showing off a preview of the key a little bit later on, but we thought that first we'd sit down and have a little powwow with the mad genius behind that design. I am Michael from the Metakey. I'm the Metakey's in-house community, social media, and marketing manager. You guys have probably seen me on Discord. Most of the stuff that comes out of Metakey, Twitter comes from me as well. So you guys have probably seen me around or interacted with me. You guys have also probably interacted with my friend Anubis over on the far side here. He's our resident arts expert who's kicking off the Duart Residency, which is an art residency basically being sponsored by the Metakey to help sort of empower and support and discover new artists in the space, which is really exciting. So I could not think of a better person to have on here to interview MARC-O today. Now, this podcast, I suppose we'll call it, is also going to constitute the second episode of the Duart Residency podcast, I should say. That's right, Anubis? You had a chat last week with, who was it again?
It was with Death himself. Also, hello everybody.
And you guys can, of course, catch that on YouTube. We'll have links to that stuff in the description below. But MARC-O, welcome. How are you, my friends? Thank you so much for agreeing, first of all, to this talk, but especially to doing the design for the key. It's absolutely phenomenal. I cannot wait to show it off for you guys. But I hope you're well. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, good. Just sort of trying to survive the Melbourne winters, but yeah, doing pretty good. Keeping busy.
And Anubis, you're up in Canada, aren't you?
Oh yeah. We just left our. Well, it actually wasn't too cold this winter, but now it's pretty nice. We got cool summer breezes at times.
Mm-hmm. It's really cool how we do have community members pretty much all over the globe in the Metakey space here. It is excellent. But look, Anubis, I'm going to hand it over to you because you are, of course, our resident art expert, and you've got some excellent questions prepared for MARC-O. But guys, while you're listening along, if you have any questions for MARC-O, or if you have any questions for Matty regarding the Edition 3 Metakey, just post them in chat. We'll be monitoring chat, and we will come back to them at the end and address some of your questions. So, Anubis, I'll hand it over to you, my friend.
And enjoy. So a little bit, actually, MARC-O, when I first found out that you were going to be the artist, my first initial thing to do was to Google who you were and scour your socials for all the art that you have done. I do that with a lot of people, and then I was blown away. I legitimately was blown away, and the quality of work that is present just within your work, I was just like, oh my god, this is insane. And it led me to start thinking about how artists usually get interested into the arts at a pretty young age, regardless of when they start the actual practice itself. And I was just wondering, like, because of how distinctive your work is, like, when did you start essentially your passion for art, not as a profession, not as a freelancer or anything, but when did you start, just picking up the pen and drawing? I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I guess that's a really tricky question. I mean, I think like most artists, I think drawing or painting or whatever just sort of comes natural. So I remember drawing and scribbling all kinds of shit, like on the walls and cupboards and all kinds of stuff, and I think it just sort of became a natural thing for me. And I guess it was always that nature to, try things that you've never done before. So, drawing as a kid, you start learning. Oh, okay, I got into games and then animation, and you want to learn these things. And I think this is kind of like pre-YouTube, but I remember going onto Newgrounds, looking up animations and learning how to use animation with Macromedia Flash or Adobe Flash. So I guess it's I guess over time it was more of a I guess it was sorry, I'm just trying to use my words here. I guess with me, I mean, as a self-taught illustrator and animator, it was all just about self-teaching and experimentation. If you didn't have any resources on how to, do a certain thing, you sort of taught yourself until you developed your own process. And I guess that's kind of how my work's evolved over the years. Starting off with illustration, a frustration of, wanting to do more, learning how games are made, or, learning how animation's made, and kind of just, bootlegging some software and learning how to do it yourself. I think that's kind of what sort of drove me. High school, getting a copy of Macromedia Flash back in the day, and learning how to animate. Just no tutorials, no YouTube videos, none of that existed. Just sort of tinkering and experimenting, and you eventually your work eventually evolves through self-teaching and tinkering and experimentation. I guess that's kind of where I am to this day, of just not being afraid to try different skill sets and techniques and applications. Just it's all an evolving journey of your art, I suppose. So.
It's actually really interesting that you say that you're self-taught, because when I look at your work, I would have assumed that I looked at it and I was like, this man must have went to school somewhere. Like, this is not something that you just teach yourself. But also, as the art world itself moves and evolves, a lot of us are becoming more self-taught. In my own personal experience in university, I had to teach myself a lot of things, and then this leads me to the question of, we're no longer focusing on correct depictions of everything, and art is moving towards conceptually and technologically driven art, as seen by your awesome avatar, which I think is gnarly, that it can function uninterrupted with no glitches. Well, some glitches might happen, but uninterrupted essentially with a real time. But how do you see your style evolving as the technology grows, especially since your style is extremely identifiable? Like, I was looking at it and I was thinking, I look at your style and I say, this is MARC-O-MATIC. In the same light, I can look at a Mobius painting or a drawing and I say, that's Mobius. And so And as the utility evolves into the space, where do you see your work taking off or going to?
Well, I mean, I'm not even sure of that, to be honest. I think I'm just going with what is technologically possible. I think, diving into, I started getting into, AR and VR about maybe 5 years ago or so. And back then, I mean, we didn't really have, institutions or courses for that kind of stuff. And again, it just sort of came down to experimentation and tinkering. As I dabble more in augmented reality and virtual reality, I'm still trying to tie it in with more of a traditional approach. So combining, some of my illustrations that are done on paper into the immersive space. I think more often than not, while it is great to see a lot of art evolving through, 3D animation and virtual reality, I think we sort of get into this, we fall into this kind of, we start seeing the same stuff. It starts to become quite continuous, and everyone starts doing a particular style, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's no problem with that. But I think I guess when it comes to creating your own identity, your own style, you kind of get lost in what's popular and what's trending. I mean, I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for it, but I guess crypto art, as I see it now, is kind of bombarded with like neon, cyberpunk, astronauts, the same kind of common themes, time and time again. And that's, I'm just sort of pointing out what's currently out there and what's on trend, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think when you see work like that, it's important to sort of step back and try and find your own identity, your own style, your own language, your own themes that you want to personally explore, and not what's particularly popular out there. I guess when it comes to technology, when I started getting into 3D animation and 2D animation, I started neglecting a lot of my traditional skill set. So illustrating and painting on paper, I slowly started neglecting those. And as I worked on commercial projects, for motion graphics and 3D animation, those skills kind of were neglected to some extent. It's only until I discovered, augmented reality and virtual reality was I able to kind of combine, my love for illustration with animation and immersive tech. I was finally able to connect a flat 2D image and bring that to life and really show audiences the actual inner workings of that piece. Kind of I think if you ever seen Terry Gilliam's animations from Monty Python's, how they're kind of cut out and whimsical and comical.
Yes.
I think a lot of my inspiration comes from that. I mean, I grew up. I probably shouldn't have watched that as a kid. It's quite out there for kids, but that kind of cutout animation style, I think that's been a major inspiration to my work, to this day. So,
wow, the penny just dropped for me there, because your style is so evocative and unique. But yeah, no, I can see the Terry Gilliam in that. So, to your point about how art, particularly in the NFT space, has become relatively sort of homogenized at the moment, I think that's one of the things that really attracted us to you, because you have this really distinct iconic style, while there's 100 Bored Apes clones kind of out there at the moment that they're all doing fine, and obviously that's an aesthetic that resonates with people in the community right now, but there's anything like what you, MARC-O, are doing in the space at the moment. And that's one of the reasons why we were so delighted to kind of have you as a part of the brand. One of the reasons why I think everyone is going to be just so stoked when they pick up that 3rd edition key, because it looks like nothing else that you have ever seen in the space before, I think.
It's I can guarantee the reactions will be insane, because when they showed it to me, and I'm sorry everybody, but I got to see it early, but when they showed it to me, my brain left my skull, and it's like specifically just because I remember when I first entered the space, and like the form of cards as an artistic like little video became a thing, with like artists like Lux Expressions, and then other people brought it in, but then to see like what you did with it, I was just like this is the next evolution that people will say, like, oh, you know, think of the next step ahead. And I look at it and I'm like, well, Marco's already there. Mark has already achieved that. And it's like, I look at the rest of your work and like specifically like your Sydney, like the Sydney train and the Sydney, your Melbourne City weatherworks. And those fascinate me just because of, you know, Metakey is pretty big on utility, right? And to see that an artist is being, you know, approached by universities and cities and to build something like this, and to see it become sort of something that can be instructional, something that can be fun, something that can take museums into an extra step. I was just blown away. I was like, oh my god, it's insane. And it's just like, it's only the beginning. Like you said, like as the technology evolves, we will catch on. Like your work will go further. And then
so question, Marco, in the context of what we've got happening today, because I haven't really heard the story yet either, despite the fact that I'm on the team. I'm really curious. What is it that first connected you to the Metakey? Like, how did you get connected with Matty? How did he approach you? And what was your sort of response? What got you interested in the Metakey? What made you decide to take the gig?
Yeah, I guess I really fell in love with the idea of utility and interoperability. I think the Metakey is really a game changer in the NFT space. And I met Matty, I think last year or maybe early this year, I can't recall, but you know, he acquired one of my pieces, which was the you know,
The Colossus, right?
The Colossus, yeah, kind of like, and I was absolutely blown away when I was a secondary sale, so he bought that from another collector from Manta XR on Super Rare. But yeah, so I mean, he reached out, and you know, I learned more about Metakey, and I saw Alan Bolton, and I believe it was RTK Studios had created those cards, and I was like, that was awesome. Like, I'd love to create another edition similar to that, but 9,000 times more crazier. But yeah, I think what I'm really interested about the Metakey is it ties in kind of with what I want to do, in that an NFT isn't just, I mean, it's not. Well, I mean, it can be, but it can be an image, it can be a GIF, it can be an animation, it can be a 3D object. But I love the idea of, you know, having a master NFT or some kind of special NFT that had utilities across an array of metaverse spaces and platforms and environments. So, you know, imagine, you know, you create this character which then had additional utilities where you could essentially embody it as a wearable asset in Decentraland, or it would give you special other properties in, you know, crypto voxels, or you could have other special properties of that NFT in different environments. So I think that's what's really interested me with the Metakey, the fact that it's not just a one-off asset, it actually has much more built-in value behind it, and it's for anyone to own. So once someone owns that, it grants them all kinds of powers, abilities, or, you know, other features depending on what platform you use it on. So I think that's what I was excited about, and, you know, I want to see art or experiences that sort of embrace that kind of thinking. So creating a sculpture or a world, for example, like, you know, Mario 64, where you see a painting, you jump into that painting, and that's a world, that's a level, that kind of thing. So that's kind of my mindset right now. So I'm creating these works that are sold as NFTs, but you know, I guess hopefully as the technology evolves to the point where we're wearing AR glasses, I want audiences to be able to actually jump into those artworks and explore them up close and personal. So that in itself, that kind of feature there is a utility or a feature of interoperability to be able to jump into that piece if it's displayed or featured in a different you know, metaverse or platform. Yeah, so that's kind of what's, you know, had me really excited about this kind of evolution of NFTs, if you will. So,
you know, next time I see any of your work hanging up somewhere, like physically, you know, I'm gonna run and try and like jump into it, right? One day soon. We're moving there. We're moving in that direction. You know, when I hear someone as like talented and innovative as Marco talking about the Metakey like that, it just really like solidifies for me that we're on something special here. You know what I mean? Like if someone like you thinks it's a good idea, then it's a good idea.
My eyes lit up the moment he said AR glasses, because my brain was like, yes, I'm not the only one who sees the future.
I mean, that's no longer science fiction, right? I mean, we've already had AR glasses for years, right? We've had Microsoft HoloLens, Magic Leap, but I mean, the technology's only just getting better and better. I think obviously Apple have painted their own AR eyewear, so I mean, just imagine 5 to 10 years. I don't know the rough estimates, but I think AR eyewear will just be as commonplace as our mobile phones. I mean, remember when the iPhone came out? No one had them except very few. The same thing with glasses. I think when they become much more commercially viable, cheaper and affordable, the way we experience content is just going to change. And that's where I think, a lot of people, I've seen, tweets online like, NFTs are dead, good riddance to NFTs, that sort of crap. I mean, reality, they're not. It's just that the market has kind of, stabilized, and those that are in it, who are in it just for the money, have kind of, dissipated, and those that are, are in it for a passion, definitely here to stay. But NFTs, going to be used across for games, for experiential content, for purchasing virtual land, all that kind of stuff. And I think with AR and VR tech, it just makes even more sense to be able to authenticate, to prove ownership of these digital assets, and to be able to add monetary value to it. I think it just, going forward, it makes complete sense. So games, VR, AR, it's all connected. It's just, you need the right people to sort of see that through. So
I just want to remind chat while we're having this conversation, if it's raising any ideas for you guys have any questions for MARC-O or any questions for Maddie regarding the 3rd edition, you can write them in the chat, or you can write them in Discord. We've got a specific Discord channel open just for this stream. Put them in there. We'll have a look at them at the end. Maddie will come on and we'll address some of those questions for you. But Anubis, I think you might have a couple more questions for MARC-O.
Well, so I am extremely curious about your artistic process because of how you think now. Just because usually everybody has their own process. They'll draw their paint and then they'll go put their programs, but just from hearing you speak, you seem to also put a lot of thought before what you execute, what you do. And I was just curious, you don't have to tell us the artistic process of the 3rd key itself, because we haven't seen it yet, but what's the overall what's the overall artistic process? Just is it idea, do you sit on it for a little bit, do you sketch it, how does it go exactly?
Yeah, I guess with my visual style, I've always been fascinated with, building and constructing worlds, and I guess telling stories, not in a linear way, but almost like in a Where's Wally or a Where's Waldo page. So you've got all these several little stories happening at the one time that sort of tell the story for you just by looking at the work several times. So yeah, I guess I've always been fascinated with detail, machines, tech, and sort of, seeing the world in a different lens, not as how we see it, but sort of deconstructed in some sort of mechanical or industrial form. So, I mean, you might have seen some of my works on Super Rare with, the giant eyeball with people around it and sort of operating it. The same with the latest one, which is, I guess, the female body sort of being, manipulated and controlled with various smaller people around it. So I've always been fascinated with sort of deconstructing the world around us and sort of representing it as, I guess, microcosmic scenes or worlds to sort of better understand how things operate. I recently did a brain, for example. I think that was the first NFT I sold, and I was blown away by that. But it was kind of like a mechanical, like a machine, a mechanical construct of the brain, people operating around it, and through that way of, I guess, that way of creation, I guess people could understand it in a more mechanical sense. But I guess, were you interested in the process? Sorry, I hope I'm not veering off the topic here, but was it the process we're kind of talking about as well? Is that kind of what you were trying to ask about?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess going back to digital and traditional, once I started learning 3D animation, it was kind of, diving into that space. It kind of let me neglect, my traditional skill sets of being able to illustrate and paint and stuff like that. And I guess going back to childhood, dissecting how Terry Gilliam's animations worked, it was kind of following that process. So a lot of collectors have actually asked how my process, how I create my NFTs. And a lot of people think it's digital, it's all digital, but a lot of the textures, a lot of the illustrations are actually done on paper. If you see some of my process, my breakdown videos, all of it's all sketched. So I draw in a modular fashion. So everything's actually drawn, freehand. There's no drafting. It's just ballpoint pen, ink wash, watercolors, where I draw all these sort of modular shapes and assets. And then what I do is I scan them in. They're actually scanned in and spliced and cut up and transformed into 3D objects. So basically everything in my scenery, it comes from traditional, pen on paper. It's all sort of kind of repurposing and carried across into the digital space, which is why I think that kind of process works really well for augmented reality, because a lot of AR experiences tend to feel clunky and disconnected and kind of gamey like. It feels kind of low poly and doesn't feel that polished. But what I try to do is when you repurpose something that's already there, you're not reinventing the wheel or anything. You're just gathering those textures and you're kind of just reapplying it in a different way. And through that process, it feels more natural. You create more of a better connection between the physical artwork and the digital piece. So yeah, I guess, I mean, with that process, that's how I create my NFTs to this day. It's all hand drawn on paper, then scanned, spliced, and then used as 3D models. So I just like to keep consistent with that.
I get the impression, Marco, and this is one thing I really love about your approach to AR as opposed to a lot of the AR we see, is that you're not trying to replace things from the natural world. You're trying to supplement them with other things from the natural world. It's a very organic sort of reciprocative process. And I think that and sort of the driving nostalgia behind it is why we're seeing such a huge appeal in your work at the moment. Yeah, sorry, I'm trying not to just constantly fanboy.
It's all good. Yeah, I think it serves. I mean, I've worked with various organizations, various tech companies and organizations that want to tell a story, but not through a boring pamphlet or a brochure. So, I've created these experiences where I would illustrate this building or whatever it may be, and using those existing drawings, break it apart and allow audiences to actually explore and get up close and personal with the work itself. So yeah, it's not, I guess the way I create it, it's not just for art. It can be used for all kinds of industries and areas for education, or they call it edutainment. So you can illustrate a machine or a car or whatever, and then augment that, and that alone just sort of gives you more of an understanding of that subject matter than you would reading a textbook or being given a brochure about it. So yeah, that's kind of another aspect of my work there. So
and it also adds an extra layer to just having a work that's just only displayable on your wall. For example, you can hold your phone up to it. It's far more interactive than just a painting on a wall, while still being a traditional form of art, hybridized.
Sorry, I was just going to add to that. The beautiful thing about AR, and I guess with the added addition of NFTs, is that this stuff is here for as long as you wish to maintain it. So imagine 50 years from now, that AR activation of that artwork could evolve or change, and there could be previous versions or iterations of that artwork. So you're almost like embedding your story, your history into that artwork beyond just a physical painting. So imagine 50 years from now, I might be dead, but there'll be different iterations, or there'll be an evolution of that story that would be available to people for years to come. So yeah, it's really exciting stuff.
I'm really excited to see where the Metakey is in 50 years time. Because as well as we can manage, we'll still be here.
We'll upload our brains to the blockchain and live forever.
I'm just gonna upload my subconscious. I'm just going to mint my subconsciousness as an NFT, and then download it into a robot body or something. I don't even know if I'll bother with that. I'll just hang out in the sandbox.
It's at least you can also respawn there.
That's true. That's true. I think we might have time for one more quick question from Marco before we hand it over to chat and see if they've got anything that they would like to pose to him. So Anubis, have we got a cracker there that you'd like to pose for us?
I have what I think is actually a pretty helpful question to a lot of the newcomers, because a lot of people have entered the space and sales are starting to slow down. Talks of crypto winter and NFT winters are here, but my main focus is in my last talk with Death himself, for example, I found out that he has over 200 paintings in storage, just practice alone. And I wanted to ask you, like, what forms of practice that do you have? Because I really think that people should be aware of the amount of hidden work we put into our art that then in the future results into a painting or like your Genesis piece on an NFT platform. And I think people would benefit to learn just like what sort of practice or even how long you practice for, day to day or week to week.
I'm just trying to understand the question. So are you asking how long should you practice for, or just like...
No, I'm asking like how, like, what forms of practice do you have, and like how long do you usually like practice for? I would think that's beneficial for people to hear.
Yeah, I mean, because I work across a lot of different tools and applications, I mean, honestly, there are times where I forget how to do certain things just because there's just so much going on. So I think it's just a process of, because I have my process down pat now, it's kind of easier to remember certain things. But, I try to, I don't know how to answer this actually. This is actually a bit tricky. How often should you practice? All the time, right? Is that the answer? Or?
Well,
so do you just have like rooms in your house that are just full of like discarded, sketches and stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I've got like tons of sketchbooks with just modular drawings and shapes and stuff. And if I remember something, like if I drew a valve or a gear, I'll take it in, I'll scan it, and I'll use it again. I'll repurpose it.
Right, because who knows when you'll come back to it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I was younger, I think I used to just chuck out my drawings willy-nilly. I didn't really care much about it. I think when I started.
I bet you're not doing that now after looking at what Ferocious is doing.
I don't know. Honestly, I didn't even think of. I never really imagined turning what I do into a career or a job. It just sort of, people started taking interest, and things just sort of took off from there. But I think when I took it more seriously, I started, preserving all my works, and I realized that, hey, I can actually recycle these sketches I did years ago and turn it into something nice and beautiful. So yeah, I think over the last 5 or 6 years, I've got like a whole collection of drawings and sketches that I still hold on to this day, because I guess now I realize that there's some kind of value behind it. But
well, that's excellent. Well, look, we're going to field some community questions here in a moment, but before we do that, I'm noticing Maddie's on the other side of the room, and I reckon it'll take him about 15 seconds to get off his chair and get over here. And I think that I could probably preview edition 3, and you guys would probably be able to see it before he can get across the room. So I got it right. I just need to wait till he looks away. I need to wait till he looks. You ready? Are we ready? All right, here it goes. I'm doing it.
Oh.
There. Oh my goodness. How's that for a preview? So wow, so that's what the edition 3 key is going to look like. And you know what? I've actually got one other little note here, and Maddie's still not paying attention, so I'm just gonna go ahead. Let me just work this out. Yeah. So the edition 3 key, you guys are gonna be it's gonna be available. You guys are gonna be able to buy it from tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. UTC, which is technically tonight. Oh crap, he's coming across the room. Or 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, all right? That's 3 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. UTC, 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow is when Edition 3 is going live. So set your alarm clocks, get ready for that. Oh, I didn't tell them anything, all right? Did you hear all that? Did you catch all that? All right, guys. I'm going to hand you over to Maddie. We're going to see if we got any chat questions, any more questions for Marco. But thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Don't let him fire me, whatever you do.
I was expecting a tackle, but oh well. Hello.
How are you doing? I was listening to the whole thing, so good to see you both, and everyone else listening in on Twitch.
Likewise, good to see you.
Yeah, Anubis, man, I see you all the time in the Discord, so pleasure to meet you, and yeah, I've been tuning in, so awesome.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if anyone heard the time, so basically what we will be doing is dropping the 3rd edition. There's 1,000 of them. It's going to go on Rarible at exactly 8 a.m. Australian time, Melbourne time. And now I think, what's the conversions on that for UK and EST? You'll have to actually put it on my other laptop. Is that what it is? All right, I hope these are accurate. So 8 a.m. Melbourne time is 3 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. UTC, and I'm not sure what time is it on the EST?
EST is 3 hours ahead of PST.
Okay, so EST is 3 hours ahead of PST. Anyway, 8 a.m. Melbourne time. So if you Google that and you try and get the conversion, that's what it's going to be. But what we had in mind was, obviously there's a lot of people in Discord that have edition 1 and 2. Everyone's really excited about it. So we'll probably be dropping it 5 to 10 minutes earlier on Discord, and we'll do an announcement for that. So that everyone in Discord kind of has some time to buy what they want. And then I'll be publishing it on my Twitter, and it's probably going to go Twitter crazy after that, because you guys saw how crazy it was. If I launch that, that's going to blow up Twitter. So anyway, that's the process. Let's see how it works. I'm really excited to get a lot more new members here and keep building the Metakey. To me, it's an awesome project to connect with artists, do more in Decentraland and the Sandbox and any other game. I feel like we're at 1% capacity, at a level of 1% of what we're going to be coming up with, like 100 new games entering this space, probably multiple new industries, etc., etc.
Looking forward to it.
Sorry? Yeah, I'm down to take some questions. I'm sure the guys also can take some questions, but open for anything if anyone wants to ask.
Okay. So a question from Marco. How do you get one of these animated avatars? Do you do custom ones?
That's a good question. I've done them commercially for various clients, but sort of diving into the YouTube space and other social media platforms. So just reach out if you want like a Snapchat avatar or an AR avatar. Just let me know, and I'm sure we can work something out. So
how does your avatar work, Marco? Can you do one and then you add it on Snapchat, and then you can send a Snapchat to anyone with a custom face thing that you've designed?
Yeah, so you can. There's different AR platforms out there.
Mm-hmm.
So there's Spark. There's Instagram has their own AR capabilities, and Snapchat does as well. So yeah, I can create a custom AR filter, provide a private link, for example, and yeah, that becomes yours to access. So
wow.
This is kind of how this is operating right now. So I'm using Snapchat's platform to build this this AR activation here, and it's I guess sort of a private. Actually, no, I don't think it's private. I think anyone can become MARC-O-MATIC, which is a bit concerning. But yeah, so yeah, it's available on Snapchat. So you can actually, if you search for MARC-O-MATIC's head, this is my head. You can use on your phone or on your PC. So.
Oh wow.
Very cool.
Oh no. Any more questions? I can't actually see the questions, but
For a noob like me, how do you buy and what?
All right. So if you want to buy the Metakey, you'll have to go to a website called Rarible, and we'll post the link on our Discord. Probably in the next half an hour or an hour, I'll do a nice breakdown so everyone's very clear on how to buy. You'd have to need Ethereum. So if you're not sure how to buy Ethereum, I'm not sure if I should go through a 10-minute spiel and a tutorial, but basically you can buy it using your native cryptocurrency exchange, and when you have your Ethereum in your wallet, then you can go ahead and buy the Metakey. So I'll do a bit of a breakdown on Discord after this. So everyone that's here and everyone, even if those that are not paying attention into this Discord or this stream now, everyone will know exactly what to do. It's still a while from now.
Does Metakey have land or plans?
I'm assuming you mean CryptoVoxels? Now, I respect CryptoVoxels so much. If anyone doesn't know the background on CryptoVoxels, it's been a virtual world that's been up and running for about 3 years, built almost single-handedly by a guy called Ben Nolan, and he's just like the biggest boss ever. So it's got a pretty bad community. It's kind of a voxel-based style world. You can buy virtual land and build virtual galleries and all that sort of stuff. I definitely have plans at some stage to reach out to the CV guys and anyone else that can advise us on what to do there. The Metakey is really just to open the doors so that the community can build integrations themselves. So as we expand and people in DCL know us and people in the sandbox know us and people in CV eventually, once we enter that space know us, love to connect with the community eventually. So yeah, 100% have plans for CV when we have the bandwidth for it.
Utility unleash angles in the sandbox game Metakey NFT. They are dropping in 8 hours by let's say.
So the sandbox NFT is an interesting one. I think the plan for that with Sebastian and the sandbox is to give it as a free item alongside anyone that buys premium land. So in the sandbox, I've got the concept of getting premium land, which I believe are those that are connected to their partners. Now, we don't have any utility at the moment. For the most part, it's kind of just a collectible, an item, a promo item, you can call it. But hey, like with NFTs, you can always give utility to them later. That's the beauty of it. So I'm with the Metakey right now, you've probably got like 4 or 5 things you can do with it. But as we keep building 3 years later, there'll be hundreds of things you can do with it. But there's no reason why later on, as we discuss, maybe down the line, we can add we can maybe add it as an avatar for our game items. I'm not sure. We haven't really discussed the depths of that, but it's basically just for now, it's kind of a free promo item you get if you participate in that land sale.
Will there be an AR overlay?
Will there be an AR overlay for the card? Okay, so Metakey 3, no, because it's a digital item. But AR, we will be doing something with AR. Or not? Maybe not.
No comment.
But yeah, AR is something. Look, at the end of the day, we're all about kind of exploring the future tech. So that's why MARC-O-MATIC and his work kind of stood out to us, because we just want to be at the forefront of technology. NFTs right now are collectibles, avatars and stuff, which is cool. We want to push it further with utility. AR and VR and these virtual worlds are going to start to merge into those spaces, and we're definitely going to keep going into there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have something to do with AR in the coming future.
That's very exciting. Very exciting.
What else we got? Do you want me to just keep going with these questions? How much is going to cost? Yes, 0.2 Ethereum. So guys, the concept of the Metakey, just so you guys are all clear, and I know that the first generation and the second gen has gone up in value, and that's all cool. And I'm so happy that early investors or early buyers are getting rewarded by not only the value they get by using the Metakey, but obviously the price and the investment. The design of the Metakey project is to be unlimited, right? There will always be another edition dropping that's going to be 0.2 Ethereum. So if you got the mindset that you want to get like hundreds of the next edition and then slowly, you want to invest in it and then slowly sell it at a profit, go ahead and do that. But the design of this project is completely different. What we have done is that the first 3 editions, this being the third one, they have very little supply. So there's only like 500 of Gen 1s, 750 of Gen 2s, 1,000 of Gen 3s, and that's it. That's the collector editions, and that's separate. Now, when we release Gen 4, that will have like 5,000 or 10,000 supply. So you can imagine later on, if we're in, who knows, maybe we're in like Final Fantasy or something, and you see some guy who's got our sword, and he's got a Gen 1 sword because you recognize it and we announced it, then you will know that there's only 500 people that can have that sword. Now imagine if our community has millions of players, and again, how rare would it be to have that sword in Final Fantasy or some other game? There'll be hundreds of games that will integrate into it. So you'll be able to recognize that rarity, that scarcity, that OG factor by the purchasing of those early editions. So that's what the concept that we have. But you know, we'll always be minting at we'll be releasing the next ones after this collector edition at 0.2 Ethereum. What else we got? Mark's getting some shout outs. So Mark made some of the coolest DCL wearables. Yes, he did. Release date.
Right.
No, I was just saying something here. But I remember, Mark, when I saw your art, I was like, man, this has to be a wearable in DCL.
Well, you know, they've made wearables now. You know, you can actually make wearables without going through the approval process. So, well, actually, sorry, there is an approval process, but they've streamlined it so it's much easier to create. So, I do have some new DCL wearables coming soon. I can't say much at the moment, but I will let you know when I've got some new collections ready to go. So I'll keep you posted.
I'm excited for when we're able to put the DCL wearables on our actual physical clothes in like some form of AR, because then it would be so exciting to wear something in your style just around, like the swagger alone.
I've made augmented reality shirts, and I've made some augmented reality activated prints with a previous platform. So I mean, yeah, the sky's the limit. And again, AR glasses is just gonna you know, revolutionize the way we consume content. So yeah, I think I need to create multiple copies of myself, because there's so much crap going on. So I need to yeah, focus.
Clothing technology is catching up. We'll get there.
Exactly.
But by the time that goes mainstream, there'll probably be some next new technology that everyone's kind of rushing into.
Yeah, it's ever changing.
Yeah. Can we buy the Metakey with mana? No, unfortunately. I'm not sure if Rarible allows that, but I think on OpenSea you can, on the secondary market. Nice bane on this guy.
I think that depends on the person who's selling the, like, if they accept mana as the token, but yeah.
Oh, I think maybe you can do that on the secondary market, or maybe we have to enable as a primary seller that you can kind of do it for that contract. Maybe, I'm not sure, but someone asked real quickly, guys. Sorry, I'll just quickly release date. So the release date is going to be at 8 a.m. tomorrow, or today for some people, or is it tomorrow for most? But 8 a.m. Melbourne. It will be, again, I think I went through the times, but again, I will put that in a Discord announcement so everyone's clear. But I think there's a good, what's the time right now? 3 p.m. here, so there's like a good 12 plus 5, 17 hours, I believe. We've got some time. Awesome.
Exciting.
All right, guys, I think that's it. Michael, do you want to jump back in?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Again, good to meet you both, and
Yep.
I'm sure we'll connect again. But I'll give it to Michael.
Likewise, it was nice meeting you.
Yeah, pleasure, Matty.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Matty. If any of you guys are not following Matty in the spaces, I'm sure that's why most of you are here, to be honest. But in some random chance, if you stumble across the Metakey by some other means, you should be following DCL Blogger on YouTube and also on Twitter. He is one of the absolute experts in the space of NFTs and makes some really compelling educational videos and guides. He's actually been working really hard over the last couple of days, making a series of videos for our exclusive Metakey holders only course section. So look forward to that in the very near future. Guys, thank you so much. This has been an absolute blast. It's been absolutely wonderful. Chat, everyone that was in Discord, again, sorry for the hiccups earlier. I'm sure you guys understand when you're trying to stream to 2 different platforms concurrently with a new setup and all that, you know, some things happen. But I think this has gone pretty well. If you are not following us here on Twitch, then please do so. And if you're watching on YouTube later down the road, you want to follow twitch.tv/themetakey, because we will be streaming pretty much every week. We haven't worked out the schedule yet, but it'll be at least once a week. We will be showing off partner integrations. We will be streaming blockchain games that we're either working with or hoping to work with. And it's just going to be like a really cool sort of community hang space that we're going to be doing on the reg. So please come and engage with us there, because you'll be seeing a lot more of me. Let me think, is there anything else? Now, as I mentioned earlier, this also is constituting part 2 of the Duart Residency with Anubis here, which is going to be a regular conversation with a bunch of different artists, some that may be directly involved with Metakey, others that will not, but it is all going to be hosted and facilitated by us here at the Metakey. And for those of you who are artists or are interested in arts in the NFT space or just in general, you really should be keeping an eye on that. That is on Anubis's YouTube channel as well. Now, Anubis, how can they find you on YouTube? We'll put it in the description below if you guys are watching on YouTube right now. We'll put it in Discord as well. But can you just search Anubis 3100, the Duart Residency? It should come up.
Yeah, that should bring it up right away.
Okay.
And then I also, if people want to get in contact with me personally, I'm on Twitter and at Anubis_3100. I respond there pretty fairly quickly, and then I have my links in there that will lead you to everything you want to see on there. But yeah.
So if you're an artist that would like to have a conversation with Anubis, or perhaps you're someone who would like to recommend an artist in this space for Anubis to have a conversation with, then please reach out to him, because I'm sure you'll be very happy to accommodate that, right? And finally, MARC-O, where can people go and consume more of your glorious work and hang out with you? What are the spaces that you frequent?
Yeah, and I wish I was on all the crypto art platforms as much as possible. I've just been so busy, but yeah, if you just look for MARC-O-MATIC, I don't know if I can drop that somewhere, maybe later. But if you look up MARC-O-MATIC on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you'll probably find this somewhere. That I'm usually on those spaces, hoping to ramp up some efforts more on YouTube to release some breakdown videos and just sort of progress on my work in the crypto art space. So yeah, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Google search MARC-O-MATIC. You'll probably find me in other places that I've forgotten about. So,
I guarantee that you do. There's a lot of really cool stuff you'll see if you just Google MARC-O-MATIC. Well, guys, thank you so much. Anubis, is there any other shout outs or notes that you want to make?
I just want to thank you guys for giving me this opportunity. And actually, yes, artist breakdown for the Metakey members coming Friday.
Friday.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay.
I think
All right, well, we look forward to that on the Metakey Discord, which you guys should also all join if you haven't done so already. It will be attached to the top of our Twitter if you're not following it. Okay, so one more time. The Edition 3 Metakey will be launching tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific time. It will be releasing at 10 p.m. UTC, which is technically tonight, and it will be releasing tomorrow 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. It will be on Rarible, and that's where it'll be. So set your alarms and go ham, because once this one is gone, that is going to be all the collector's editions, and there's going to be some special rewards down the pipeline if you do own all three. So if you have edition 1 and 2 already, make sure you don't miss your edition 3. Okay. Guys, thank you so much for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it. Again, tune in for whatever comes next. Keep an eye on Discord, keep an eye on Twitter, keep an eye here on Twitch. We got lots of really exciting stuff coming down the pipeline. You've been seeing like the announcements just been rolling in the last couple of days. We're working on like so much cool stuff. And it's just a really awesome time to be in the space. So I'm going to leave us there. Thank you all very much for watching. And until next time, take care, my friends. Be good.
Have a good one, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye.